Hello, y'all. I am back again for another video. I am still struggling with a hoarse voice and a slightly muffled voice. So I'm still going to keep going. I am also seeking medical care, so I'm going to take care of it. It's just going to take a little time for it to clear up, y'all. Thank you for coming into the live. Thank you so much for coming into the live. So this video is going to be a little interesting, okay? So I tried this yesterday. Again, please forgive the voice. My voice is still hoarse, but I'm happy to just be able to speak, and I'm very grateful for that. So I tried this yesterday, y'all, and it's something that I'm learning and I'm getting a little better at, right? And it's logically thinking and not always doing something that's perceived to be nice, doing it without thought process or doing it without a thought process. So I tested it yesterday and I did these two things. I didn't do it out of a place of anger. I did it out of a place of they don't deserve it. Okay. So doing something out of anger and doing something out of a place that they don't deserve it is two different things. And I'll give you an example. I'll just make up an example here. Say there's two homeless guys up the street. Okay. And I'm just making up this example. And this has happened in this state with some of the homeless people. I've never had a homeless person do this act to me, but it's happened. So say there's two homeless guys right up the street, and one of them throws food at me and calls me a nigger, and then asks me to buy him something to eat. Or he throws an old food packaging wrapping. Okay, he doesn't have any food. There's two homeless men. I'm using this as an example. And one of them throws a old food wrapping at me or old food packaging from something he had eaten prior, and he calls me a nigger. And then the other homeless man speaks, was genuine, says, I'm so sorry. If you buy me something to eat, I get my Social Security check tomorrow. I'll pay you back. And I'm sorry I'm even asking you for this. And so you choose. You say, okay, I'm going to buy the second homeless man something to eat. The one that says he'll pay it back. Of course, I tell him, you know what? It's fine. You don't have to pay me back. But the one that threw food packaging at me from some food that he was okay with eating that food because a white person bought it for him. And so he threw that food packaging at me, the first homeless man. And why would I buy both of them food? It's not rational, right? The one that's the racist that called me a nigger and said, he asked me for food. He still wants me to buy him food while he's calling me a nigger. That homeless man does not deserve me to buy him shit. Okay, so I did these two things I did these two things yesterday, y'all. Thank you so much for the like. And I apologize for my voice. It's still hoarse. So I am gonna have to enter into the hospital. I'm gonna need an IV, some fluids, antibiotics. So I'm going to my doctor's appointments, but for the respiratory issue, I'm gonna enter into the hospital. Okay. So do they deserve it? So I tried these two things yesterday, and Leonard Wilson says it's like you're getting dehydrated. Yeah, it's respiratory. I have asthma, Leonard, and respiratory issues drains your hydration. Infections, especially in the respiratory area, will take a lot of your fluids out of you because your body is in constant fight mode to fight off the respiratory issue. Okay, and I have asthma. Um, so I say this, asthma patients, we stay dehydrated. It seems like it don't matter what we drink. Our lungs are always overworking anyway. And so that's that. So thank you so much, Leonard, for your comment. Leonard Wilson, 9876. Thank you so much for your comment. So I tried this yesterday. I had two situations. One was my sister's birthday. Okay. And it was meant for me to do this video. Oh, thank you, Leonard Wilson. Thank you for praying for me. I need it. I need it. My chest is really sore too. What I do like is that I've got a lot of this out of my lungs on my own. I'm like a naturopath in a way, y'all. I understand my complete healing will not happen without the IV and the antibiotic. However, I do believe in doing a lot of it on your own. So I got so much of this stuff out of my lungs just through spitting it up, and it's phlegm, mucus, um, it's all of this stuff, right? So I got it all. I got a lot of it up. I got so much of it up that my chest and my breast are sore, y'all. I did such a good job getting it up that even my big titties are sore, which is good. Good. Remember, I'm an asthma patient, so I know a lot about my lungs. And I've had issues with my lungs since I was a child. Okay. So so with that being said, my little sister's birthday was yesterday. Okay, and I want to point this out. Last year, around like February 2025, me and my sister got into a dispute through the phone and messaging. My birthday, I'm a Scorpio, so my birthday is during Scorpio season, okay, which is in the winter. So my sister's birthday, my little sister, her birthday was yesterday. Now, one of the things my little sister did yesterday, not yesterday, but she kind of admitted to stirring up a little trouble when I pointed out the way she was wording things. She ended up telling me that she does it that way to make it sound worse, to basically kind of piss me off and annoy me in so many words. Um, so you got to think about this. Once a person admits to something, they've been doing it for much longer than you could ever imagine. So my little sister, she's good at attempting to do psychological abuse. My little sister would be aware of how to do psychological abuse because, of course, our grandmother raised us, right? Why wouldn't we know how to do that? Why wouldn't we know how to fuck with a person's mind without having to put our hands on them? So, my little sister and I, we had this falling out starting about February of last year, 2025. So, of course, when my birthday comes around in Scorpio season, which would be end of October through November, that's Scorpio season. Do you think I got a call for my birthday? No. She doesn't give a fuck about my birthday. Okay. So my birthday also did not trigger her to come out of the dispute we were in. Like if you had a truly empathetic sister, if y'all got into a dispute, your birthday may be enough for them to come out of the anger or the withdrawal that they're in from the dispute. And my sister, she cussed at me last year. For the first time, she said, fuck you. And I said what I had to say, called her a quick little description of what she is anyway. And I had to get that bully off me. My sister and grandmother, they're bullies and they're abusers. Whether they accept it or not, that's what they are. And I cannot allow them to talk shit to me. Okay, so the best go-to for these type of people is to be in minimal or no contact. So my birthday was last year. Okay, she didn't say shit. Now, I was just on the phone with my sister. So I'm going to give you her pattern. What she does when we talk, we'll talk a long time. Okay. I called her over the past 2 months. She didn't answer. Come to find out, her phone was stolen. She changed phone numbers. So let me look at this call log. My sister and I, we talked June 27th, which would have been 3 days before her birthday. We even did a three-way call with one of her, it's a group of 5 sisters, and one of the sisters' name is, they're like best friends to my little sister. So we even had a three-way call with Chris, and I was so happy to talk to Chris. I hadn't heard her voice in years. Really beautiful chocolate sister. I view her as having a kind heart. And I'm not trying to say my sister doesn't have a heart. That's not what this is about. This is about taking correct actions, don't harm you or further harm you. And remember, when people do things to you and you react too nice, they put you in a category, y'all, and it's a category that you don't need to be in. So what I did, we got into it last year, February, but we've talked and, talked about that situation since then. My birthday came around last year in the winter months during Scorpio season. My sister did not contact me. So what I would like to do is use this to my advantage. And I'm going to break the cycle of, or finalize the cycle of us having contact on birthdays. So what this will do, this will remove responsibility from you. Okay, so what you're doing is, if every February 1st, January 1st, you're calling someone for their birthday, you're adding a responsibility into your year. This is something that you're doing every year that is adding to your mental health stress. And it is mental health stress when you're doing it for a motherfucker that doesn't deserve it. Okay? So one of the things my little sister will do when I talk to her for a very long time, we'll talk for long hours when we do talk, but it's not often. So I talked to her June 27th. Okay. 12:20 p.m. It says we were on the phone about 36 minutes. Then I talked to her another 22 minutes on that same day. So we talked about a total of an hour. Yes, thank you, Leonard Wilson. Yes. So, but what I'm doing here is I'm doing a little bit more than just breaking the cycle. The overall lesson here is to think before we're so nice, and how I did it and what my result was. I'm going to give you the result. And it's amazing what happened in my day yesterday. So it wasn't just my little sister. It was another situation, but I'm talking about the birthday. So I talked to my sister for about an hour, June 27th. And then part of that call, we clicked Chris in on three-way, which is Sammy's sister. They're sisters. They're two of the five sisters. Okay. Now, on June 28th, the very next day, I made a outgoing call to my sister at about 4:03. Now, keep in mind, this is a couple of days before her birthday, y'all. I made that call on June 28th to talk to her about her birthday plans and to see if it was anything she needed, to get a mailing address, to potentially mail something, see if she had a Cash App. I don't think she has that, but I'm not sure if she got her Cash App back started. I know she used some other app, but I wanted to talk to her about her birthday, what her plans were, stuff like that. Okay. More strategic planning. But what my little sister will do is if I talk to her one day, if I call her back the next day, because it could be for something I forgot to ask her, she will not answer. So my little sister, she's the type of Negro. She's like this. She's very passive aggressive, which I understand that because I can be as well. But basically, she's like, bitch, I just talked to you for hours yesterday. What the fuck you want, bitch? That's the message that's being sent because she did it some months back too when she sent me this video. It actually was something that she should have asked me, was I okay with receiving? It was a video of some of my relatives, but it had this particular lady in there that had made this threat to me about 3 years ago. So my little sister, she's not mindful. She has the spirit of my grandmother. Okay. So she's not a mindful person. And sometimes, and a lot of the time, my little sister, she's not very thoughtful. Okay. So you want to be very careful with interacting with these kind of people. So the 27th, we talked. You want to start rewarding people based on their behavior. I talked to her June 27th. She knows her fucking birthday is on June 30th. She's aware of this. So June 28th, she chose not to answer my call. She's assuming that one's going to come in on June 30th. People take you for granted, y'all. But she does it too much. And I've recognized her pattern. If I talk to my sister one day, if I call her back the next day, she will not answer. It's like this attitude like, bitch, I talked to you enough yesterday. And one of the reasons I didn't call my sister for her birthday is because of this. She's too in support of our grandmother's wicked nature. And as long as my sister will never be able to accept the areas that our grandmother had a wicked nature, and also what my sister does is she tries to somewhat brag and follow this evil tyranny. She wants to follow in our grandmother footsteps in the negative aspects. Camille Rodriguez, 6128, hello. Thank you for coming in. And again, Leonard Wilson, 9876, yes. Breaking the cycle, I'm validating that. So thank you so much for the chats and comments. And thank you so much for the extra like. And thank you so much for your patience while my voice is going through this crisis. So I give facts on this channel in a pure example. So I'm going to give you an example. Our grandmother, she was basically strategically unalived in a facility, a medical facility, at about 76 years old. Okay. And this is why. Okay. My grandmother When I was 9 years old, she told me to lay down on this rollaway bed. And when I was 9 years old, my grandmother started smothering me with a pillow for no good fucking reason. I had done nothing to the lady. Okay. Nothing. At 9 years old, I just did what she asked me to do, which was lay down on this rollaway bed. She was smothering me with a pillow. At that time, we had a wood wall, and I was fighting for my life. And I was scraping on the wood wall with my right hand, and I ended up getting a splinter in my finger. Okay. That's how vicious this attack was upon me. It would have been a lot of reasons that I can figure out why my grandmother did that to me. Since I'm older, my perspective is she did it because I was a really pretty little girl. Yeah. Yeah, she did that to me. And my little fucking sister supports the shit. My little fucking sister likes it, Leonard. She likes this shit. Okay. So why would I call this Negro for her birthday? Talking about my little sister. So yeah, so my wicked ass grandmother did this to me on another occasion while in my grandmother's restaurant. And to save my life, I don't know what I did this day to the lady. From what I remember, I wasn't even speaking. Next thing you know, I was on her restaurant floor. She straddled me and was holding me down. I don't know what the fuck. The other incidents, like especially with my mom, when my mom, I call these women narcissistic sociopaths. And I'll explain why I call them that. My mother and my grandmother, I call them narcissistic sociopaths. And this is why. H.G. Tudor, he's a British man. He has his channel, The Ultra. He uses this term narcissistic psychopath. Now, what a narcissistic psychopath is, H.G. Tudor explains, it's a psychopath that needs supply. So he adds the narcissistic word on there to make you aware that they need supply. They need people, they need funding, versus a regular psychopath, they can, versus a regular psychopath, they can function, hold on. A regular psychopath can function without help. So Helen Keller versus Traffic. Can we get a tour of your Section 8 house? See how evil that is? See how I just stated that my grandmother smothered me when I was 9 years old. See how abusive the world is? Wow. So first of all, Helen Keller versus Traffic 2.0. I don't have a Section 8 house. Okay. And I'm going to educate you here because I was a prior property manager. And I'm going to explain to you why to stop using that word. There's no such thing as a Section 8 house. Now, there is a such thing as public housing. Okay. Section 8 houses. Section 8 is a program. I was a property manager for 5 years. So Section 8 is a program administered by housing authorities. And landlords, which are property owners, okay, they rent their properties to people and allow Section 8 funding to be sent to them through tenants that are on the Section 8 program. The property owners that I work for used to get very pissed off when you called their property a Section 8 house. They used to say, why are they calling my apartment a Section 8 house or apartment? And are you saying it because I have a hoarse voice today? My voice is hoarse. I'm having respiratory issues, so I must be on the Section 8 program. Very sad. Let me try to get these comments to come up. Hold on, because it just vanished. Yeah, my moderator that's normally helping me out, Leonard, she's not here today. Natalie, she's not here. She helps moderate. And that's what happens when Natalie is not here, more of the trolls will come in. I mean, you could tell I'm black and I got a hoarse voice. So that means I'm on Section 8, right? And like I just told Helen Keller, stupid motherfucking ass, this stupid ass, hoe ass bitch with her ignorant, ugly, demonic ass, ain't no such thing as no Section 8 household. Those homes are owned by people that work their ass off to attain properties. And they allow somebody's auntie, somebody's neighbor, and state to help pay the rent. Yeah, exactly, Leonard Wilson. But this is a stupid asshole. This ain't no Section 8 video. What the fuck is she talking about? But it's because that's that racial shit. She could tell I'm not white. And then on top of it, my voice is hoarse because I have asthma. So my voice is extra hoarse. My voice is hoarse. You can tell the difference between my voice now because I'm having a respiratory issue. So me being a prior property manager for 5 years, there's no such thing as a Section 8 house. Stop calling people houses Section 8 houses, dumbass hoe. Helen Keller, stop calling people's homes that they own Section 8 homes. The person on Section 8 don't own the house. They're a renter. So it ain't a Section 8 house because the person on Section 8 don't own the shit. How the fuck is it a Section 8 house? And the housing authority doesn't own the fucking house. Stupid asshole. Yeah, that's why she not saying shit. And you better not say shit back because I'm gonna block your retarded ass. And go get you some Section 8. You probably in your car or on the motherfucking sidewalk. Too damn dumb to apply for the program. Stupid asshole. Don't say shit else, I'm gonna block you. Who the fuck are you talking about, Mystic? Now we got another retard in here saying he could borrow. Can he borrow my EBT card? No, but I could borrow yours, nigga. I could borrow your EBT card. Can I borrow yours, retard? I need your EBT card. Yeah, let me borrow yours. Dumbass. These people are really ignorant, y'all. And I apologize for this. Mystic and Helen Keller, you obviously like my channel. So if you want to be yeah, so Leonard Wilson says, thank you, Leonard Wilson, for commenting and helping with that. That helps. That helps the trolls stay out of here. I'm not taking it personal. It's just disrespectful. I am laughing. That's why I said I need his EBT card. I'm being sarcastic. Give me yours, nigga. Buy me some food. But all of those comments, the Section 8 comments and the EBT card, I've worked my ass off my entire life not to be on systems. My rent's over $2,000. Okay, so I've worked my ass off, and if someone gets Section 8 or have an EBT card, it's not a crime. It's part of the benefits that are allowed to them in the United States. But Leonard Wilson, the only reason they do this shit in my lives is because they hear that I'm not a white girl. They don't go in white bitches' lives talking about fucking Section 8 and EBT cards. They do it just because I'm black. And that's what pisses me off. That is the part that's offensive. Stop thinking black people or on fucking Section 8 are getting EBT cards. Stupid ass nigga and hoe. Because the fact of the matter is, the number one people that are getting public assistance in the United States is white people and foreigners. It's not the, what you call it, foundational black people. Foundational Black America is what they call it. Negroes, whatever you want to call us. We're not really the ones collecting on the system like that. Yeah, but Leonard, you know what? It don't matter. Why is somebody concerned about EBT cards in Section 8? It's ignorant. I don't have a weave, Mystic. My hair is 20 inches long, you stupid fuck. So now he's saying I have a weave. I don't have a weave. My hair is just about 20 inches long. My hair is like dreadlock hair, but it's 20 inches long, you stupid motherfucker. I don't have a motherfucking weave on my head neither. I have nappy, kinky hair, but it grows long. There's no weave, stupid ass. So here we go once again with the racial shit. My voice is hoarse, so that gives them an extra on me to think that I'm from some motherfucking projects. You didn't mention EBT because I'm easily offended, Mystic. That's not what you did. You did it because you're disrespectful. 2, you're not uploading on your own channel like you should. And 3, you did it because of race. You did it because I'm not a white girl talking. That's why you did it, Mystic. Stop gaslighting me. You didn't do it because I'm easily offended. It's not hilarious, Mystic. What you did is not hilarious. It's very disrespectful in nature. And you did it because you're not showing compassion and love. You need to upload, Mystic. It's my perspective that you need to upload, because if you start uploading your own videos, it'll give your dumb ass something else to do. It'll give your dumb retarded ass something else to do other than come in here talking shit to me. That's why you need to upload, to get a more positive activity going. And another thing you need to do is go apply for some food stamps yourself and do what Helen Keller said, do, get you some Section 8. I'm done. Mystic, no more comments. I'm going to block you. So if you make another comment, I'm going to have to block you. Yeah, I get it, Leonard. They're trying to get up under my skin. And, you know, because of that, the sad part is when you come to my channel, or the good thing is when you come to my channel, you do get something out of it. And unfortunately, they won't get the message that they need to get out of it. And so ultimately their comments hurts their own life. So we'll move on, Leonard. Thank you so much, Leonard. Leonard Wilson, 9876. Thank you so much for your kindness, your support. Thank you so much for being a gentleman. Yeah, so thank you so much. So I appreciate y'all. So going back to the message with my little sister's birthday, and you got a good example of what cruelty is when it comes to this channel. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on, let me get caught up on these comments. Mystic and Helen Keller, thank you so much for the comments and chats as well. I don't approve of, you know, the comments you're typing, but I still can appreciate that you're interacting on the channel. So that's important. They're interacting, but just in a bad way. And so that will improve over time because they're still here. So they'll improve over time. It just will naturally happen because that's one of the things I've had people DM me that came in here as enemies and actually thank me for all the help I provided to them. So so like I said, over time they will improve. They're not like my viewers that come in from India where they'll apologize to me for their behavior. Um, that's one thing I could say about the good old people from India. They will apologize. But, you know, hold on one second. I'm trying to. Hold on one second, y'all. Be patient with me. I'm just kind of getting caught up on these comments. Well, at least I know a hoarse voice. It doesn't stop me from cussing somebody ass out. Didn't stop that. Yeah, but that's part of the racial dynamics. The Section 8, the EBT, that's just because they heard that I'm black. That's it. It's crazy. That's crazy how people, do. My children aren't even little anymore. I mean, my children are which you can get Section 8 and not have little children. It's not a program based on having children. Like I said, I was a property manager for 5 years, and 25% of my tenants was on Section 8. So like out of 100% of my tenants, I did rent to 25% Section 8 tenants. And I had a great outcome. I had wonderful Section 8 tenants, and I had wonderful tenants that were not on Section 8. I sure did. Yep, I sure did. So I didn't have actually my tenants not on Section 8 gave me more hell than the ones on Section 8 because I knew how to vet people. And yeah, so Mystic left another comment. Let me see. No, Leonard Wilson. Okay, Mystic says, we're like 30 minutes in and you're still ranting. What message are you supposedly helping people with? Okay, so I will start with the message, Mystic. Thank you so much for leaving that because I do need to get on with the message. So thank you. Leonard Wilson, this nice gentleman, Leonard Wilson, 9876, said, you got to count it all, joy, good or bad. Yes, thank you for that, Leonard Wilson, 9876. Mystic underscore foresight says you're gonna, he names Ghana, he meant Ghana, Gonna, but he spelled it Gunna. So we got to work on spelling, Mystic. You're gonna be on your deathbed still talking about those comments. No, I won't. Actually, you're putting a little bit too much value on your comments. I'm not going to be on my deathbed thinking of comments. That's for sure. I promise you that. So I know, Mystic, you wish you were that important, but you're not. So Leonard Wilson says, you're fine. Take your time. Thank you, Leonard Wilson, for that. Leonard Wilson, 876, said, you sound like a pearl. Laugh out loud. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So getting back to the message. So the birthday thing with my sister. So I'll use Mystic and Helen Keller as an example, Leonard. I'll use them two as an example. Do you think they would deserve a birthday call? If I knew both their birthday was tomorrow, should I contact them? Of course, the answer should be no. Yeah, the answer should be no. Okay. So going on with that, it's the same concept with my sister. So one of the things my little sister does is she is in support of a lot of evil that I don't approve of. And one example would be my little sister had a health crisis, right? And my grandmother was in this skilled nursing or nursing facility, and there was an incident that occurred that ultimately led to my grandmother's death. So what happened was there was this nurse or CNA, whatever status of a nurse this was in this facility. Um, um, yes, my little sister is black as well, Mystic. We the same race. She black like me. Yes. I'm just light skinned and she's dark skinned. Yes, she's black. Yes, she is. Okay, so um our mother's dark skin, you're black, Mystic. Great. I love it. I love that you're black. Let's work on being nicer to one another. Good job. Yeah, it's beautiful to be born black. So our mother is very dark complected. So my little sister, she's darker skinned. She didn't begin as darker skinned. She was lighter skinned at first, even lighter than me when we were little. But then she, has the melanin. And so I'm not giving my sister a hard way to go, Leonard. You haven't even listened to the video. I just told you I talked to my sister for oh no, Leonard is talking to Mystic. Okay, sorry about that. So I thought that was from Mystic. So Leonard says at Mystic, you just said you were black. So why would you give a sister a hard way to go? Make it make sense. Yes, yes. And that's sad that he ended up being black, right? Because that's your new white supremacist now, Leonard. It's sad that he stereotyped and did all of that, and he's a black male. But I guess all the black females he deal with, they on Section 8. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But I guess he ain't met nobody that got a hoarse voice that's off Section 8. They all on Section 8, right? Leonard's a piece of, Mystic's a piece of work, Leonard. He is. He's a ignorant ass nigga. And I don't even like using the nigga word, but that's a nigga. He's very fucking ignorant. He just wanted to torture a sister today. It's one of the reasons I stay single, y'all. One of the reasons I stay single. Black men like that will keep you single. Because most likely I'm not going to run into a lot of Leonard Wilsons. That's fine, Mystic. I'm not your sister. That's fine. I don't want to be. I know I'm not your sister. Oh, you mean my blood sister? Oh, you're worse than my blood sister. You're much worse. Yeah. Because I wouldn't call you on your birthday neither. But you worse than my blood sister. That's for sure. So whatever way you mean it, you're saying you're not my sister. Of course you're not my sister. You claimed you a male. You're a man, right? You don't have a pussy. How can you be my sister and you got a dick, retard? Shit. This nigga's out his fucking mind. Are you high? Are you on some kind of fucking drugs, Mystic? Fuck is wrong with you? I don't give a fuck about your birthday, nigga, or the day you was born, Mystic. And the fact of the matter is, You talking about my deathbed, you gonna check out first, nigga. Let me tell you something about me. Every motherfucker that has ever predicted I'ma die first, and I don't give a fuck if they're 30 years younger than me. Every person that has predicted that I'ma die first, they motherfucking ass die first. So you just cursed your life, nigga. Mystic. You just cursed your life. I'm gonna outlive you. Because for one, somebody might end up killing your retarded ass. You in the black race talking shit to people like that, you might not live too much longer anyway. Somebody gonna be to shot your crazy ass in the head for the way you talking to people. And look how he treating me while I'm sick. I'm on this video with a whole upper respiratory infection. I got asthma. And this nigga a stranger to me, Mystic, wishing death on me. But that's okay. Leonard ain't doing it. That's why I always tell people, it's always good people. Why don't you follow how Leonard Wilson is acting? He's teaching you how to behave in a live. Don't you see Leonard Wilson comments, Mystic? Why don't you mirror what Leonard Wilson is doing? You did wish death on me. You started talking about, I'm going to be talking about your comments on my deathbed. That's a subtle way of wishing it on me, too. It's subtle. It's passive aggressive. You're mentioning my deathbed, and you should not be doing that. So whatever you typed out, that's what's coming for you. The deathbed you trying to put me in early, Mystic, that's the deathbed coming for your retarded ass. I'm not going to stop ranting because I got a live. Don't you understand what a live is? I'm on a live. You like it, Mystic. That's what you want. You wanted me to go off. You wanted to hype the live up. So thank you. And Leonard hyping it up. It's a balance of male intelligence. Leonard Wilson, we got a balance of genuine personality and male intelligence. And then we got Mystic ass. I guarantee you he's not drug free. This ain't a sober man. He's not sober. He has to do drugs to be himself. Mystic is not living sober because he has to get high because of the way he treats people. He has to get high just to live with how he treats people. Mystic says, use that frontal lobe and get back in topic. That's cute. Yeah, and Leonard Wilson says, I like Mystics, ha ha ha. Okay, that was cool. So Leonard Wilson, I love all his comments. He said, no one should ever speak death on anybody. And it's sad when you don't even know the person and they never done anything to you. Yeah, that's true. Leonard Wilson says, sweetheart, I would block him. He's not worth the conversation. Actually, it doesn't benefit me to block him because when he leaves a comment, it helps more people see the video. So also some of these kind of trolls, what they'll do, some of them will feel bad and they'll go watch other videos that will help them on this channel. And some of them come back and they're some of my biggest fans. Yeah. So Leonard says, so I try to give them a chance to fix it because some people, they go through a lot of sadness. And so I try not to make them more sadder. Like Mystic's sad. And that Helen Keller, why she named her ass after that blind girl? Remember the Helen Keller movie where the girl was blind? Is that her real name? Helen Keller? The hell? Um, yeah, Leonard Wilson, you're right. You can't raise a grown man. He's settled. He's settled in his ways. He's settling in his ways. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But going back to the subject matter, thank you so much, Leonard Wilson, 9876. I love you. And thank you so much for your support here. So, what I'm not going to do is give up so easily. So I talked to my sister on the 27th. We was having a little conversation about, you know, my grandmother's cruel nature. And so my little sister, she had this surgery. And unfortunately, doing this procedure, she wasn't medicated enough. Her insurance had lapsed. Make sure y'all keep y'all insurance current. My sister's insurance had lapsed. So I think that they didn't give her the shots and things that she needed. They pretty much was using lidocaine for the surgical procedure. And I hate that my little sister was in that level of pain. So my little sister makes this comment that she felt like doing what my grandmother did, which basically my grandmother grabbed up or assaulted a nurse. Okay, now this is the thing. With my grandmother, this was 15 years after my grandmother had smothered me. So I was at that time in my early 20s. So my grandmother was in this facility, and supposedly the nurse dropped my grandmother's leg. My grandmother, I guess, was sitting in the wheelchair. I think she was in her wheelchair or could have been sitting on her bed, but I'm almost for sure she was in the wheelchair. So the story was that a nurse dropped my grandmother's leg. And my grandmother grabbed her and snapped. Okay. Now, a nurse is a caregiver, and Mystic says, yeah, Leonard Mystic says it was a stuffed pillow or a feather stuff. It was just one of those pillows from the old days. I don't know. It was a pillow. I don't know what it was, a regular pillow. Okay. It don't matter what kind of pillow it is. It's you're putting it over a child's face and smothering them and causing them to have an asthma attack. I was 9 years old. So Mystic, I mean, it don't really matter. It was a pillow. It wasn't no flat pillow. It was fluffy. My grandmother bought good stuff, so it was a bigger, nice, plump pillow. I don't remember it being too big or too small. I don't remember it being flat out like it was old. It was just like a regular standard size pillow from what I remember. Leonard says, Leonard says, well, I don't, Leonard Wilson says, well, I don't watch television and movies, so I wouldn't know. Okay, yeah, come back in 5 minutes, Leonard. No problem. I'll see you when you get back. So the thing is with my grandmother, when this nurse incident happened, the story was that the nurse dropped my grandmother's leg. My grandmother snapped, grabbed the nurse up. However, when the incident happened, oh, Natalie, thank you. I was just talking about you earlier, right? Because I had some trolls come in here, and Mystic, that guy Mystic, he's asking me if I got an EBT card. Then it was some crazy bitch, Helen Keller, talking about, do I got Section 8? Yeah, so you weren't here, Natalie. So I got two trolls. Yeah, and that Mystic is still leaving messages. Mystic underscore Foresight. He's one of the trolls that just left the comment right after you, Natalie. Yeah. Thank you so much for the like. Thank you so much, Natalie, for coming in. Yeah, I went the fuck off on him though. Him and the other bitch, Helen Keller. Yeah. Mystic says, oh, and then Mystic claim he's black too. So, okay, Natalie, the subject matter is about multiple things, but ultimately, I made a decision not to contact my sister for her birthday yesterday. And I wanted to explain the result and the goodness that came out of it. For one, I didn't force myself to do something I did not want to do. That's another thing empaths we do a lot. We call people for their birthdays, we do it out of obligation, and we don't evaluate enough of how bad people treat us. So, one of the things about my little sister, we'll never be able to get closer as long as she is team in support of my grandmother's negativity. Okay, so my little sister had this surgery and she cracked this joke that she felt like doing what our grandmother did, which is snatch one of the nurses or doctors up because she was in pain. They only gave her lidocaine, which is not damn enough, but her insurance had lapsed, right? So that's what they're doing now. If you want the good pain meds, make sure your insurance is active. The surgical procedure she had, she needed to be injected with an IV for pain. You shouldn't be feeling your surgeries, y'all. I don't know what the legal laws are in St. Louis, Missouri, but that just ain't right. I don't approve of that. I wouldn't have cared if she had insurance or not. I wouldn't have cared if she had insurance. I would have injected her with some pain stuff in her IV. It's just not right how they treat Black people in the medical field, and everything is money based. You don't have insurance, you got a past due bill, you ain't paid them the co-payment. That's how they do you. So my little sister cracks this joke that she almost did one of our grandmother numbers on the staff. Because when you're in pain, sometimes you reach out to fight. That's just a natural instinct for some people, not all people. Some people, when a nurse or doctor put them in pain, they just break down crying. They tell them stop, no more. But some people, some patients will fight you. Okay. And like I talked about Miss Anita Ann Grayson, the narcissistic sociopath, Black lady, that 75-year-old Black lady that got killed in that coffee shop, most likely a narcissistic sociopath is going to fight you. Now, my little sister did not fight the staff. Okay. She did not fight the staff because she knows better. She's seen the result that my grandmother got from doing it. So my grandmother, I was in my early 20s, about 15 years after my grandmother smothered me when I was 9. I'm out of town on the West Coast where I'm at now, and I hear the story. A nurse dropped my grandmother's leg. My grandmother snatched the nurse up and got violent and aggressive with the nurse. But this is the thing with these stories. The wrong story goes around the family. It's just like when my mother assaulted me and pushed me through the room. My little sister spreaded the wrong story around. She said I didn't let my mom hold my daughter. That was never true. That is not why my mother pushed me. I never denied my mother of holding my daughter. That happened when my daughter was 10 days old. Since that time, I've asked my sister to stop spreading these false stories. Okay? But when it happened, I had to humble myself. And I remember when my grandmother attacked the nurse. I was sad, y'all, because I knew what they were getting ready to do to my grandmother. Okay? My grandmother daughter was not visiting her, which was my mother. I was out of town. This is a narcissistic sociopath's karma, right? They've mistreated or ignored or neglected their blood family, which was my daughter and myself. I mean, not my daughter, my mother and myself. So, what happens with narcissistic sociopathic females? In this case, I'm going to use the word females. Their day comes. So, you put in life, whatever you put in, that's what you get back. If you think Frank Sinatra and Bill Cosby is more important than your biological daughter and your granddaughter, guess what? You're going to end up in a hospital facility, nursing home, skilled nursing facility, and your daughter and granddaughter will not be around. Okay? So, with narcissistic sociopaths, early in their life, they're treating the wrong people better because they don't think something is coming later. So what came later was my grandmother lost her restaurant. Okay. And I escaped her at 17. My daughter did not come around. Thank you so much, Natalie. So Natalie says, did you at least call her on June 10th? No, I didn't call her. I talked to her about the 27th. So no, I didn't talk to her on June 10th because I had called her before June 10th. When I talked to my sister on June 27th, Natalie, oh no, that's Mystic asking that question. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mystic. I apologize, Natalie. That didn't even sound like something you would ask, but I was being polite and asking it. But that didn't sound like you. So that's what made me look in, because I'm like, why would Natalie ask this? So I'm glad I looked back at the YouTube name. So no, I didn't call her on June 10th, Mystic, because I had called her prior to June 10th and she didn't answer, but she was having the surgeries and stuff, Mystic. So Natalie says, why wait? Just a while ago, you both kept things light. Oh, Natalie says, wait, why? Just a while ago, you both kept things light. Yeah, but these type of family dynamics are just always going to be an up and down situation. Natalie says she didn't write that, so I apologize. That's what made me look back at the name. It made me take a second glance. See, the thing is when these comments come up, who the YouTube name is comes out really light, and then what they type comes out fully white, so it's bolder. So the YouTube name comes out like a off-white or grayish looking type color, and what they type comes out bold and white. So remember, I wear glasses on these lives. So like right now, I'm reading Natalie, and also the YouTube name comes out in smaller print. So it's very small, and it comes out like an off-white or grayish. But what the person types comes out bigger and comes out in white, so I can see it easy. I can see it much easy. Okay, so thank you, Natalie, for confirming that. But because of what was asked, it made me glance at his name again because it didn't sound like something you would type. So I caught it. But just by my nature, because I'm bonded with you, Natalie, I'm not gonna over evaluate what you ask. So Natalie says, so the narc manipulates the supply and praises them, thinking the supply will be more concerned than their own family member. Weirdish. Yeah. So my grandmother, she was a prominent business owner. She liked famous people. Me and my mother were not considered famous enough. Now, I want to point this out. My mother owned a church. My mother was a bishop. I used to perform. I did acting and dancing for 8 years of my life, starting all the way back to first grade. I played instruments. James would come to my performances when he was alive. I got off track when I started high school, but I actually performed from first grade through eighth grade. Okay. And we weren't famous enough. We weren't famous enough. My mother and I weren't famous enough. My mother and I were more domestic women, just regular old women. We keep a house, our children, we support some family members. We're low key. Um, we don't have a bunch of company. We're not the type of people, we're in and out people's houses. Me and my mother, we were not drug addicts. Um, we weren't killers. We weren't anything that my grandmother thought was important enough to pay attention to. So what that does, my grandmother ends up in a facility that she would die in and attacking a nurse. Now, at the time my grandmother did it, sadness went in my soul because I knew that they would kill my grandmother. But the thing with the story of the nurse dropping the leg, I have to remember this about my grandmother. So what I did, I used logic. So at the time it happened, I had to remember who my grandmother is. She is a lady that will attack a child, caregiver, or etc. without being attacked. Okay? So I can't automatically believe that the nurse dropped her leg because my grandmother is capable of attacking that nurse without the nurse doing any assault or accidental dropping of her leg. I also did not talk to the nurse to get the nurse side of the story. Okay. So I also understood that for my grandmother to attack this nurse, there would be certain elements that the nurse would have that would make my grandmother jealous, which means the nurse was probably sweet, pretty, and loved her job. So if the nurse was sweet, pretty, loved her job, light skinned, she could even be dark skinned. In this instance, her skin color would not matter. Thank you so much, Leonard Wilson, for coming back. So Leonard Wilson, Natalie, remember I mentioned Natalie earlier? I told you, I said Natalie wasn't here, so the trolls came in. Remember? Natalie, my moderator, she helps moderate. She's here now. So the trolls are acting nice. I don't know if Natalie takes these motherfucking trolls, she finds them and she locks them in her basement or some shit. But whatever the fuck Natalie does, they leave me the fuck alone. When Natalie, I'm telling you, it's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual thing. I don't know if it's don't fuck with people from Haiti shit. The Haitians don't motherfucking play. Whatever the fuck it is, they leave me the fuck alone. They leave me the fuck alone. And by the way, I do not approve of the 350,000 people that have been sent back to Haiti to be sent back into a war zone just because they had temporary status in the US. Yes, I don't approve of that. I'll be doing a separate video about that. So Leonard, what I was explaining was my sister had this surgery, right? And they just gave her lidocaine, which of course is not enough. Okay, so my sister made this comment that she felt like doing one of our grandmother's numbers, which was attacking the staff that had her in pain, right? So this is how my little sister felt. Okay. Hold on, y'all. Let me get caught up on these comments. So hold on. Getting caught up on comments, y'all. Yeah, I'll just do that in a second. I won't worry about it for right now. So One of the reasons me and my little sister will struggle to get along is her approval of our grandmother's wickedness and putting that in her spirit. So, my sister is referring when she says she felt like attacking the nurse or doctor. My little sister did not do it, but she knew better than to do it because this facility, when my grandmother attacked this nurse, they basically strategically unalived my grandmother. And they did it through denying her medications that she needed for her heart to keep her heart going. Okay. My grandmother's heart was very vulnerable at the time, and the medicine that they were giving her kept her alive. And there are medications that will do that. There are medications that keep the patient alive. So, but my little sister doesn't see the wrongness in what my grandmother did. It's a bad move on any level to attack your nurse or any nurse when you're in a facility. They beat the shit out of those people when they do that. And then you got nurses and CNAs and doctors beating the shit out of the clients and patients that are not doing anything. You have it on both ends. But even if a nurse drops your leg on purpose, we also have to keep in mind we don't know the medical ailments of the nurse. Like, for example, I have pinched nerves in my back. I have herniated disc. Sometimes my hand will go out. Not often, but it has done it, especially when the pinched nerves are inflamed. So if I'm holding this coffee and my hand goes out and I drop your leg, I didn't do it on purpose. If my grandmother's leg was dropped, if it's true that this nurse did that, it happened because she did not have a good grip on my grandmother's leg. You know, some of these nurses, they'll hold your leg and arm like it's nasty or something. You know, they show a disdain for the person. So a number of things would have happened. For one, the nurse did it on accident and got attacked, or the nurse did it on purpose because she didn't like my grandmother and my grandmother was not very kind to her, or it didn't happen at all. There was never any leg dropping. My grandmother just attacked her the same way she did me when I was 9, just because she could do it, and just because she snapped and she did it, or she made a decision to do it. So either the nurse dropped her leg and it was an accident. 2, the nurse did it on purpose because she was a narcissist and hateful and just didn't like my grandmother. It could be any of the above. 3, it didn't happen at all. My grandmother just attacked her for the same reason she did me when I was 9 years old. And then the attack she did upon me in her restaurant when I was like, right after James died, I think that happened. It would have been right after James died or right before he died. I was about 12, 13, 11, 12, 13, right around there. But I don't believe James was living when she straddled me and attacked me in the restaurant. I don't think he was living. If he was, I never reported what she did. I did not report what she did because I didn't want James to shoot her. So I was always fearful that James would unalive her. Both of them were armed. My grandmother and James both had 38 pistols. And I was just afraid they would kill one another. So I just chose to remain silent. So that's where I began as an empath, right there. My personality is not a normal one. Yes, yes. Yes, that's who James is. So, Leonard, Wilson said it. Yes. So um, James was very empathic and he loved kids. And so it would have been dangerous for me to tell on her because like I said, somebody could have got killed. Maybe I could have got shot on accident. They have a shootout over me, and next thing you know, I'm not here to do this video because I get accidentally shot with a bullet. James would never have, and I call James Leonard. I stated this on another video because I do consider him one of her abuse victims. I consider James one of my grandmother's abuse victims. His psychological abuse that I watched and observed my entire life for 13 years is why I have the compassion that I do for men. Okay. I have a great compassion for men because of the areas I witnessed that I feel are psychological abuse upon James. Before James died, he was very miserable, and he had on a recording on a tape, a cassette tape. He said he didn't want to live any longer. And that's the correct attitude that he should have when he's married to my grandmother. No guy should want to live very long when they're married to my grandmother. Okay. Like I said, I escaped her at 17, and it is an escape. I didn't just move, I'm escaping. Okay. So it was a successful escape. I'm still here. But going back to what my grandmother said about what my grandmother assaulted the nurse, I was sad because I knew that my grandmother was not in control. And I knew that that nurse would mean something to someone. You know, some of those nurses or the doctor's kids, y'all, you can't assault the nurse. That's the doctor's freaking daughter. And what my grandmother did not understand, I want to explain this. Narcissistic sociopaths do not understand this, y'all. Some people and their families, they are a hit-free family. There's some people that grow up that have never been assaulted or attacked or even spanked. And it doesn't necessarily mean these are wild, unruly families. It's just that when you are the type of family where you don't believe in the hitting thing, narcissistic sociopaths, when they attack and assault sweet people, they're considered wicked demons to people that do not hit. I kind of view them like that too, y'all. See, I'll hit you, but you got to be coming to hit me. I hit you back and defend myself. But I do think a person that assaults and hits people that are not anything to them and children and, you know, hurting people for reasons that they would have in their head. Like, I don't like them because they're pretty. I don't like them because they're sweet. I don't like them because they got chocolate nice skin. I don't like them because they high yellow caramel complected a light. I don't like them because they hair long. Oh, Natalie, speaking of hair, the person even told me get my weave right. Now my dreadlock nappy type hair is almost 20 inches long. My natural hair. But they told me get my weave and shit like that. They were saying I was on Section 8. I had an EBT card. All of this was before you came in, Natalie. They were saying I was on Section 8. Get my weave. Mystic and the other Helen Keller bitch. I don't know why she named her channel Helen Keller. You know, Helen Keller, that's the blind girl that's on the movie. I think she dead too. Who the fuck names their channel Helen Keller? Maybe it's her real name. Maybe there's more than one Helen Keller. But yeah, they was talking mad shit before you came in, Natalie. And I told Leonard, you can replay the video. I told Leonard, I said, they don't do that when my moderator here. Yeah, Leonard, no. Leonard moderated though, and he helped, get him to back off. But yeah, it was, but with trolls, you gotta be kind of a little strict on them. So with this situation with my grandmother, like I said, it's not a good idea to believe that the nurse dropped her leg and did something to her, because this is the lies that will go on in narcissistic, sociopathic families where there's females. Like I said, when I would be attacked, even when my mother came in my grandmother's residential part of the restaurant and did it, I was lied on. Okay. So, with that being said, this nurse can be lied on. So, what they do, they tell a lie on you. So, it makes it look like the narcissistic sociopath had a reason to assault you. So, because I didn't talk to the nurse, because I didn't get her side, I am not to assume that she dropped my grandmother's leg. My grandmother is capable of attacking the nurse just because. Because remember, I'm one of my grandmother's victims. She did it to me as well. She's pulled her gun out on me. She smothered me when I was 9. She's attacked me right in her restaurant while customers are there. Still to this day, I don't remember what happened that day. I just remember I was attacked and I was on the floor. I don't even remember speaking to her. Looking back on it, it felt like I was just sitting there looking in space and the attack came out the blue. You don't need to hit a narcissistic sociopath. You don't need to hit them. You don't need to talk crazy to them for them to attack you. This is the closest you will ever get to describing demon possession. They just see you and they fucking snap. And I believe that part of the reasoning and foundation that it's done is because you're sweet, you're pretty, people like you, and they angry, they wish they was you. They wish they was you. That's what I truly believe. I believe they're jealous or whatever. So one of the reasons I'm not going to believe that the nurse just dropped her leg, my grandmother's leg at this facility, is the way that the facility reacted to my grandmother. They unalived her as if she had done something to a very sweet, empathic nurse. And yes, people will unalive your enemies. Sometimes it will happen when they do it to a real sweet person. So if this facility knew and they established that my grandmother is like a narcissistic sociopath and she's just a wicked evil lady and she just attacked this sweet nurse for no reason, the doctors and staff will take it upon themselves to get her out of their facility. And the way they do that is through denying my grandmother her medication and just allowing her to die naturally. And it will appear to be a natural death, but not truly a natural death because she's denied her meds. And I knew that this is what they would do. I knew that they would kill my grandmother. And this is why I knew it. For one, this is the karma of a narcissistic sociopath. Okay? It's their natural karma that no matter how much I love my grandmother, I cannot change for her. Because I've already made a final decision when I was 17 years old to leave the lady alone. So therefore, because I left her alone, I'm not the one attacked. See, if me and my mother would have cared for her, if me and my mother would have said, okay, we're going to be my grandmother's caregiver, we would be the ones being assaulted by her. But my mother stayed away from her house. I moved out of town at 17. So my grandmother cannot assault us. But whatever female that my grandmother would have been cared for by, whether it be me, my mother, or the nurse. My grandmother is a narcissistic sociopath, and she was going to attack that caregiver. She's just mean and wicked. And a caregiver is considered the bottom of the level for my grandmother because the caregiver is not Frank Sinatra, Bill Cosby, Nell Carter, Gregory Hines, Luther Vandross. These are people that came into my grandmother's restaurant. Sammy Davis Jr. The caregiver is not any of these famous people. So if my grandmother is going to control herself, she would have been able to control herself from not hitting someone that's more famous. Okay. But for my grandmother, a caregiver would be considered low level to her. It's sick the way narcissistic sociopaths look at status, but this is the way they look at status. And this is the way it hurts their future. Okay. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, y'all. Hello, Zaya, where are you at? Okay, you're on the bus. Okay, see you soon. Call me when you get to the front door. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's my son, y'all. I check on him. He's coming from work. So yeah. Yeah, so hold on, let me get the charger, okay? Hold on, y'all. Let me get the charger. That way this doesn't power off, okay? Be right back. Yeah, so hold on, I'm plugging this charger in so this device does not go out. And y'all, I do go on tangents. Like Mystic said I was ranting. I do go on tangents. I'll admit to that. But that's part of the reason my life is successful, right? And I'm able to carry a longer life. You got to be able to go on rants and tangents when you do lives, y'all. It's a skill that you need to be successful at this. So yeah, so with that being said, when my grandmother did that to the nurse, the way they refused her medication and unalived her was oh yeah, Natalie said I just happened to across her life and it sound pretty interesting and now I'm here. Natalie said before that, oh wow, he came to troll. Yep, exactly. So my grandmother's life is interesting. It is. It is. It's an interesting life. And it kind of gives you a guide of what to do and not do. There was some blessings that came out of, just having my grandmother as a grandmother. It truly is. However, it's like that two-sided sword. It's a blessing and a curse, right? So Um, my little sister's approval. See, my little sister is not awakened, and sometimes they take on the person's wicked nature. So when my sister made the comment that she felt like doing what our grandmother did, attacking one of the staff, but my sister knows not to do it because the way they handled my grandmother decades and decades ago, you know not to attack nurses and doctors. I intuitively know that, okay? But narcissistic sociopaths, oh, so Leonard Wilson says, oh, okay, okay. So this is Leonard Wilson. So I apologize. Oh, Natalie. Okay, so Leonard Wilson, let me correct this. Leonard Wilson says to Natalie, at Natalie, I just happened across her life and it sounded pretty interesting. And now I'm here, laugh out loud. And then Leonard Wilson says again, you're human. You have to be able to vent and get things off your chest. Thank you for these comments. And then Leonard says again, no, he was telling Natalie how he came across my page. Okay, so I just corrected that. So yes, these last three comments are from Leonard talking to Natalie. And that's what will go on when Natalie is here. They will interact with Natalie. And Leonard's not a troll. However, some of the trolls, they just, like I said, they don't play with Natalie. Like I said, I don't know if Natalie find their ass and lock them all in this one spot in the basement and feed them and take care of them. I don't fucking know, but I just know when her energy's here, they just leave her alone, right? And so, and they leave me alone. They leave Natalie and me alone. So it all worked out. Notice, ain't no troll said shit. Natalie's here, and they ain't said nothing. They stopped talking completely. Literally, none of them had talked about I got a weave, I'm on Section 8, I got an EBT card. None of that's fucking happening. Yeah, it's energy, Natalie. Yeah, it is. It is. So, and they, I do my little part too. When I started cussing them out, and my other side came out, I slowed it down some. Cause I told that mystic, nigga, I need your EBT card. Yeah, Natalie said Scorpio rising. Yeah, I told him, nigga, I need your EBT card. Shit. And then I had to explain to that dumbass Helen Keller, that there's no Section 8 apartment in house. I was a prior property manager for 5 years. That would piss the owner off. She said, Irene, why do they keep calling my property a Section 8 apartment? She said, I own this. I never looked at things the same. That is true. There's no fucking Section 8 house or apartment. Those are owned by Billy, Jane, Amanda, Trina, and Susan, and Kevin, and Deontay, and Bruce's. That's who owns those damn properties. And then they allow a tenant that's on a Section 8 program to rent their place. And all they're doing is just accepting money from housing authorities. There ain't no fucking Section 8 house. Because the Section 8 tenant don't own it. How is it a fucking Section 8 house? The Section 8 tenant is a renter. Yeah, Leonard says he found it funny when I was cursing. Yeah, and a lot of people say that. Yeah, people, because I don't do it a lot. But when I cuss somebody out, it's like comedy, y'all. I've done it here and there in my life. It's my rare go-to. But when I do it, motherfuckers do laugh. People laugh. They sure do. They crack the fuck up. I cuss you out real special. And then I'm consistently pointing out facts. I'm not just cussing like on a tangent or rant, ignorant. I'm pointing out facts that the ignorant motherfucker don't know. I can't have a Section 8 house. If I was on Section 8, it ain't my motherfucking house. It's the owner's house. And it's that owner's house. It's not a Section 8 house. Now, you do have public housing, but public housing is government funded. That's your city or state paying the people's rent from the government. Public housing has very little to do with Section 8. And in this state, I don't think you can have both. If you're on public housing, they make you do one or the other. You can't use a Section 8 voucher at a public housing location. It's for people that don't have a Section 8 voucher. That's how they do it here. I don't know how it's done in other states. In other states, they may intertwine them. I don't know. But in this state, me being a prior property manager for 5 years, I know how this works. There's nothing wrong with Section 8, the Section 8 program. It's a beautiful program that can prevent people from being homeless. Some people on Section 8 paying more rent than us. The copays are pretty high. I had some tenants with really high copays. I did. So it's nothing wrong with Section 8. If you need an EBT card, there's nothing wrong with it. But I didn't like how the trolls just came in here because I got a hoarse voice. Just because I got a hoarse voice and I sound black and I'm having respiratory issues. Fuck. Why I gotta be on Section 8, have a weave, and I got a fucking EBT card just because I got a hoarse voice? I guess because I sound like I'm from the projects. Yeah, Natalie, I gotta go to the emergency department. It's respiratory infection. That's all. So I like going since I've cleared out a lot of the stuff out of my lungs. So most of it naturally. And so I'm just gonna need a like a little quick IV. They can hook me up to the IV and just knock it on out. That's all. I'll be fine. I cough so much to where my chest and my titties are sore. I think my titties like lost a couple of pounds. Cause you know when I cough, my motherfucking titties is bouncing. Right? So I cough, titties bounce. They're getting exercise. My titties have been doing jumping jacks. So when I look down, my stomach and titties then flattened out some, which make my body more prettier, right? You see more of my hips, thighs, and I got a little ass back there. So yeah, I mean, I'm all good. I need to cough some more of this shit off. I want to keep coughing to all my stomach flat, like the 6-pack. I want to cough till I got a 6-pack. That's what I want to do. So, like I said, it's been helping me, and it's just the process that I'm going through. But going back to what my grandmother did, assaulted the nurse. My sister is not awakened. I don't want to be saying I felt like doing what my grandmother did to a nurse. It's not a good thing that my grandmother did that to a nurse. And like I said, I'm not going to assume it's because the nurse dropped her leg. That's a bad assumption when I'm one of my grandmother's victims that has been assaulted for not doing shit to her. Yes, background matters, y'all. Background matters. It's just like with the Miss Anita Ann Grayson, the 75-year-old lady that was unalived in the coffee shop. She had a history of beating up on her stepdaughter and her stepdaughter's sister. Okay? And they were vulnerable. um, the daughter of the stepdaughter that was being beat up was glad Miss Anita Ann Grayson was unalived at that coffee shop. She said she got what was coming to her. Narcissistic sociopathic women, they assault people throughout their life. And the reason I knew that they would unalive my grandmother is because, for one, she didn't assault me. She didn't assault a 9-year-old. She's not smothering a 9-year-old with a pillow that's completely defenseless, and can't do anything. She's assaulting an adult, a lady adult that's a caregiver. And the staff didn't like it. They felt like this nurse was valuable enough. They said, look here, ma'am. And they probably didn't even tell the nurse what they're going to do. They said, don't give Miss Nettie no more of this particular medicine that keeps her heart running. We're going to deny that of her. And this narcissistic sociopath, because remember, these doctors, they know what a sociopath is before I do and before you do. This word is an old word, y'all. They saying this sociopath, she gonna die. Because we're not gonna let her beat our kind-hearted nurses up. Miss Nettie, the restaurant owner, she's not gonna be kicking our nurse's ass. And it's very much possible that they took it to that level because she didn't drop her leg, right? That's possible. We are not to believe this story because the nurse dropped her leg on accident. Number two, the nurse dropped my grandmother's leg on purpose. Or three, no leg dropping happened. They unalived my grandmother as if no leg dropping happened. Just like if I would have told James when he walked up on the scene right after I was smothered, when I barely could breathe, if I would have told James she was smothering me, James could have put a bullet in her. Or it would have been the first real time he really beat a lady. That's how the staff handled the situation. It is very dangerous to be laying your hands on empathic people because they are loved and somebody will hurt you over them. I knew that at 9 years old. That's why I didn't tell James what she did. I didn't tell on her. And my grandmother, she didn't like to make eye contact. But that day when I was 9 years old, she looked at me with eye contact and she begged me through her eyes for me not to tell. She looked at me like, please don't tell him, Irene. And I didn't. However, she will not be able to do this with those doctors in the facility that she was in when she was 76, 75 years old. They don't give a fuck. That lady you attacked ain't your granddaughter. You cannot keep going around assaulting people. Narcissistic sociopaths think they fucking have the right to just beat up on people, whether it's their granddaughter or the nurse. Now, where my sister comes into this, my little sister makes this comment. She felt like doing what grandma did. Of course, my sister didn't do it. She knows not to do it because she knows they'll do her the same way. They're either going to unalive her or call the police and she'll go to prison or jail. The facility that denied my grandmother the important medication that she needs to keep her alive has taught us, do not hit nurses. Do not beat up on your doctor. because they got something special for you. Okay. And like I said, sometimes the patients and the clients are super sweet, and the nurses and doctors abuse the clients and patients. It could go either way. But narcissistic sociopaths, they're not sweet to their caregivers. I've taken care of patients in my past, and this happened. The year this happened was let me try to add it up, y'all. 1996. Okay. So let me make sure. Yeah, 1996 was when this happened. Decades and decades ago. So that's been 30 years ago is when it happened. Yeah, somewhere around 1996 is when it happened. And so that's how it went down. St. Louis, Missouri. It happened in St. Louis, Missouri. Where in a time, remember, empaths are not normal, y'all. They're not a normal personality. They kill too. Remember, I gave you a perfect example. Some people, see, I've been assaulted by my mother for nothing. I've been assaulted by my grandmother for nothing. Yeah, so Natalie says, thank you, Natalie, for this information. This is my encyclopedia here. Natalie is my encyclopedia. So Natalie says in 1996, a certified nursing assistant typically made between $6.50 and $8.50 per hour on average across the United States. Yeah. My Natalie says, yeah, they definitely did that to your grandma and they didn't get paid. However, it could have been a RN too. See, back in those days, the registered nurses, they did it all. Actually, back then, there wasn't as many CNAs like there is today. So in 1996, to be nursing or working with patients, you almost had to at least go to school for 2 years to be working in a hospital. Now, they did allow what you call CNAs to work in certain environments, certain type of hospitals. This was a pretty decent hospital. So I think that this nurse was more than a CNA, but whatever she was, whether it be an RN, a LPN, or a CNA, my grandmother doesn't respect caregivers. And like I said, the nurse wasn't Bill Cosby, Luther Vandross, Neil Carter, Gregory Hines. My grandmother would not be grateful for her. No, I'm not in St. Louis, Missouri no more. I'm on the West Coast, near California and stuff. So I moved out of St. Louis, Missouri when I escaped her. Okay. So I'm not there anymore. And that's another reason that, they think I got an EBT card. I'm on Section 8. And I got to weave. I mean, because my accent, you could tell that I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. But I wasn't raised in poverty in St. Louis. I never, I wasn't raised with a weave on Section 8 or with an EBT card. My grandmother was a provider, and I was raised by a business owner that was in business 40 years. I mean, fucking stereotyping, man. Like, just because you black, you was raised poor. And I don't think this hoarse voice helped it today. I think this fucking hoarse voice, I'm beginning to stereotype myself right now. My voice is so fucked up and raspy and shit. I sound like one of them old like pimps bitches, right? You know, like them old school Chicago pimps. Those had the raspy voice. I think that's what I'm sounding like right now. Maybe somebody will come on here and ask me, was I an old prostitute? I don't fucking know. But I can't wait till my fucking voice clears up. Because now I'm telling my doctor, when I go to the hospital, I'm going to say, look, people on my live, they're mistaken identity me now. Please fix my voice, Your Honor. I do that shit, y'all. Your Honor. It's just like a laugh out loud I do. Yeah, so my sister's energy, going back to why I didn't call her on her birthday, she doesn't deserve it, right? The way the phone thing goes, if I talk to my sister and I call her back the next day for a question, she doesn't answer. It's very bad communication. I called her on the 28th. The thing is, you know your birthday on the 30th. You see, I'm calling you on the 28th. You might want to answer my call, right? You might want to answer my call. And I'm drinking coffee, y'all. I'm fucked up for that. I know fucking coffee does not help a hoarse voice. But I'm doing it, y'all. Oh, Leonard, what? What? Look here. Look here. Leonard said, I find a voice to be sexy. Hey, Leonard Wilson said it's sexy. Yeah, because my voice, it's like my voice, but just more raspy and hoarse. I have a deep voice anyway. And so, yeah, Leonard Wilson, 9876 says, laughing my ass off. Yeah. But um I want to thank the Lord for the Section 8 program, the EBT. Um, when I was a property manager, one of the things I loved was, now I was strict now. I didn't move in a Section 8 tenant that didn't have nothing to do. You got to tell me you in school, you a caregiver, you work outside the home. If they had a Section 8 voucher and Pookie and Ray Ray and Miss Anita, they all come to the fucking appointment where I show them the apartment. They bring 20 motherfuckers with them. I turn them down. Yes, and it was a private property. Private properties, that discrimination thing doesn't apply to us. It's a private property. We don't give a fuck about discrimination. Yes, I'm going to turn you down because you brought 20 motherfuckers with you. And I'm going to tell you it's because your criminal background and your credit check didn't qualify. Yes, I'm going to fucking do that. And it was approved by the owner. I'm not losing my job. That's why I stayed. I was a property manager 5 years, all the way until the owners sold the properties. Most of their property managers lasted about 6 months. I lasted 5 years until the properties were sold. They wanted someone that would be biased and discriminatory. The owner would say, well, why didn't you rent that apartment? I said, well, Pookie and they got a Section 8 voucher and 20 freaking people came. The owner would thank me and say stuff like, she was Puerto Rican. She would say, that's why I needed a black girl on my team. She would talk to me like that, y'all. She really uplifted my self-esteem a lot and let me know that Negroes rock. And she admired that I didn't give them a chance, even though they the same race as me. They ain't the same race as me. Pookie and Ray Ray is niggas. And I also know that they're going to tear this Puerto Rican sister and her European husband shit up. My job is to protect the owner, not to fucking give a fuck about Pookie and Ray Ray and they homelessness and they Section 8. My job is to keep the building full, and I did that. When I was a property manager, I worked 2 additional part-time jobs because I was so good at keeping the building full, collecting the rents. I was able to work 2 additional part-time jobs and raise my children. Yeah, exactly, Leonard Wilson. I know what the outcome gonna be. And I also know one of the outcomes is gonna be I lose my freaking good property management job. That job looks real good on my resume. It adds to my channel too. Me being a property manager helps me with my channel. Because I know legal things, and I know, just like because I was a property manager, I know that there's no such thing as a Section 8 apartment or house. So when that dumb bitch, Helen Keller, ass come in here with the comment, I can educate her dumb ass. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, you know what the outcome's gonna be. So with my little sister, she doesn't see what the outcome's gonna be for her. And she validates our grandmother wickedness too much. It's not a good thing to be saying you felt like fucking the nurse and doctors up or the staff because they just gave you lidocaine and you was in pain. You don't want to think like our grandmother. It got her unalived. And my sister is blinded in the area of what about this? My grandmother attacked a nurse that didn't drop her leg. I've already told my sister how the lady smothered me for nothing when I was 9. So you can't assume, and it's more than likely that she didn't drop her fucking leg. If this nurse, CNA or not, and then back in those days, Natalie, I'm gonna point this out, in St. Louis, Missouri, those nurses made good wages. Okay, if you were an RN in St. Louis, Missouri in the 90s, you made a decent wage. Them CNAs would have made like that $6 an hour type thing. But and I think she did it to an RN. I suspect it was to an RN or LPN. A RN would go to school about 2 years for nursing school. A LPN goes about 4. They're on the status, a LPN is on the status almost equivalent to a doctor. Okay. So this was an important nurse. This nurse was more likely pretty and kind, loved her patients. She probably loved my grandmother. They might have been mad at my grandmother about that too. You assaulted a nurse that was nice to you. They unalived my grandmother and had no compassion for her. Just like she was a narcissistic sociopath. The people that would have did it would have been narcissists and empaths. Narcissists and empaths. And a narcissist, just say the nurse was a narcissist. I mean, the doctor was a narcissist. He would have did it for the safety of his facility, the logical choice not to have patients assaulting staff, running the business properly. And if the doctor was an empath, he would have been pissed off that my narcissistic sociopathic grandmother attacked his freaking daughter because they hired a family members, okay? Especially in St. Louis, Missouri. Those doctors and nurses, they're all related. And from what I remember, this was a black nurse. This was not a white nurse she did this to. It was a black nurse. This was black staff. And it taught me a lesson, y'all. I was 9 when she smothered me, right? But within 15 years, she was killed in that facility. Be careful what you do to little kids. And it saddens me because at least me and my mother protected ourselves. Yeah, Natalie, yeah, that is true. That is true. Listen, now you're gonna make me cry, right? What she did to me is deplorable, right? But my sister won't say that about her. My sister won't say that about her. And it's okay to love somebody, but say what they did is deplorable and despicable and wicked. My sister is going on the same road as a narcissistic sociopath in her mannerisms. It is deplorable. And okay, since I've told, it helps with the flashbacks, right? You got to remember, when that happens to you at 9 years old, I have flashbacks, right? The first person I told was one of my best friends from high school. I reported it to him in 2019. And then over the past few years, I reported it to a cousin and sister and my little sister. And a sister, this is my blood sister. But my sister, I just so you know, I mean, I'm the light skin, smaller weight, longer hair, pointier nose. But my little sister's beautiful to me. She's a stud. She's dark skinned. She's pretty. But Natalie, Natalie said what your grandmother did is deplorable. My Natalie, she's not saying she hate my grandmother or nothing like that, but she's just saying what she did to me was deplorable, right? And my little sister can't say that, and that's why I don't call her for her birthday. Why would you call somebody for your birthday that's a constant advocate for somebody that could have unalived you at 9? Also, when she did it, she was aware that Dr. Nash was diagnosing me as an asthma patient. So you got to remember, I had asthma when I was little. So she takes a pillow and smothers me at 9, and I have asthma, right? So it's just a bad family. I cried, because I still, look, this is the thing with narcissistic sociopaths, Natalie and Leonard and everybody. This is the thing with them. There'll be this mixed signal, right? So when they killed my grandmother in that facility, I still have memories of my grandmother driving around with her pistol while I'm in the back seat, while she's in the car with Dr. Wells. I'll have both memories, right? I'll have the memory of her smothering me when I was 9. But prior to that, between 6 to 8 years old, I'll also have the memory of my grandmother in the passenger seat with her 38 pistol asking me to show her the house of the babysitter that had locked me in a basement for a whole week because my mother left me at the babysitter's on a Friday and didn't pay the babysitter. And I was locked in the basement with a female German Shepherd that took care of me for approximately 7 days. So I still have the good memories of when my grandmother was ready to kill somebody that it did something to me. But my grandmother, she hated me so bad because when she was asking me to show her the house, I didn't want the lady killed. Because at the end of the day, even though the lady locked me in the basement for a week, and I was in the hospital for this, y'all. I ended up in Children's Hospital, but the lady apologized to me. She apologized to me. And she told me, she said, God gonna get her. She said, Rainey, I locked you in the basement. God gonna get me. And the lady's son turned on her. Her teenage son said, Mama, I will never look at you the same. But my grandmother never apologized to me. But at that time, my grandmother hadn't smothered me yet. But my grandmother, she didn't like that I wouldn't show her the house to shoot the lady. But it was kids in the house. And I had more sense than my grandmother. Between 6 and 8 years old, I know that you don't shoot up somebody's house. That's not normal. Okay? So my grandmother didn't like my nature. She hated that side of me that protected people and did the right thing. And the lady had apologized. I was not raped. There's no marks on me from that basement incident. And hooray to female German Shepherds. Shit, the female German Shepherd wasn't a narcissistic sociopath. The dog took better care of me than freaking my mother and my grandmother probably put together. Shit. So, yeah, so those were some things that's the outcome and things that come out of parenting, Natalie. You got to remember, my mother was very neglectful and my grandmother was. So that's how it happened. So, but my little sister, she won't say that behavior is deplorable. Because she's the same thing that my grandmother is. Hold on, y'all. This is Isaiah at the door. Hold on. Hello?
I'm back at home, Mama.
Okay, I'm on my way downstairs. You're welcome. I'm coming to the door. So that's Isaiah, y'all. So hold on. Hold on, y'all. You drove it? Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, get your permit. Yeah. Yeah, neutral. Yeah, good job. Yeah, I'm glad you did good at that, Isaiah. I'm proud of you. Oh no, you okay. You always do that with driving. Good job. Yeah, Isaiah was driving someone's rental car and he's on the road to learning how to drive, y'all. I'm proud of Isaiah. So yeah, so like I was saying, and I'm sorry for being a crybaby on here. Natalie, it's just that touched my heart when she said it's deplorable, but it the family member won't say that, right? And so, I've lived a very good life and stuff. I'm not trying to paint it like I didn't have any good in my childhood. I mean, these were isolated incidents, but I mean, I just would never say that I felt like doing what my grandmother did and assaulting any of the medical staff. Thank you, Leonard Wilson, for saying I'm fine. And then Leonard says that Natalie, you're right, and you don't know until someone opens up to you. It hurts my heart to hear this. Yeah. And I mean, it's been a lot of years, right? But okay, that happened. Okay, I was 9 years old. Like I said, that's not the only assault. There was another assault upon me where I was on my back on the floor and she straddled me and was on top of me. She didn't put her whole body weight on me, but that attack was for nothing too. I don't even remember talking to her that day. I just remember sitting in a restaurant and she snapped. I mean, with narcissistic sociopaths, I'm just going to be honest, y'all. Your energy makes their demons snap, right? So you could just be looking pretty and calm and sweet, and it just sends them over the edge. They don't like good people. Like that old saying says, your angels affect their demons. That's true. Your good energy affects their demons. Um, my mother assaulted me when I was 15. I was a teenage mother. And of course, shouldn't I be a teenage mother? I mean, I'm neglected. I had only been with one boy. I wasn't fast. I was a teenage mother. I had my daughter at 15. I had only been with one boy. Okay. So I wasn't one of those fast girls, sleeping with everybody at the high school. My mother was a bishop and was a religious woman. My grandmother was not a woman that was a hoe. My grandmother wasn't hoeing around. She was married and was with one man for a long, long time. So I had good, I guess, examples. I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate that I wasn't raised by narcissistic sociopaths that was hoes. Okay. So, what the world would call hoes. So, and this is a good thing because I've seen ladies that end up very promiscuous because they were raised by narcissistic sociopathic women that slept with a lot of guys and girls, and it really affected them. So, fortunately, I had a good upbringing on that. But going back to my little sister, um, a person that can't say, our grandmother shouldn't have done that. She's probably, see, narcissistic sociopaths, let me tell you what they'll do. This is the sick part of what my sister will do. And this comes from this schizophrenic stuff, right? She probably doesn't believe me. This is another thing they'll do. Or will put in her mind that I did something that I didn't do. On the other hand, what my grandmother did actually makes it harder for a predator to attack me. And this is why. See, at 9 years old, I used to do this, y'all. Throughout my life, I used to say, well, my grandmother was sleepwalking. She don't remember it. That's why she didn't apologize. She don't remember. But it's this one thing. It's this one piece of evidence that will debunk that theory. And it's this. It's the fact that my grandmother told me to lay down first. Okay? It wasn't like I just laid down. She gave me the instruction. And this is what a predator will do. Yeah, I did make excuses for it, Leonard Wilson. I did. Because my grandmother did have sleep disorders. I have one. Okay. So mine is pretty good, but we do have sleep disorders in the family. But this was not a sleep disorder thing. Over the past 2 years, I was able to kind of go into mourning or kind of like a little sadness when I had to come to grips with she does remember what she did. She blanked out after she did it, but she knows what she did. Because check this out, even if my grandmother did it in a psychosis mode, not a psychotic episode, psychosis. When someone is in psychosis or active psychosis, you can look at the Deasia Watkins case. When she, oh baby, they do remember what they're doing. Yes, they're blanked out, but a psychosis is a little different than a psychotic episode. In a psychotic episode, you can go into that if you're defending yourself. So you will remember maybe the beginning or end of it, not all of the middle. I had that happen to me when I defended myself against an ex-spouse. Okay, I talked about that on another live. However, a psychotic episode is not psychosis. So what my grandmother would have went into would have been more like a psychosis. Okay, the blank out that, which means she still would remember what she did. Oh, yeah. Leonard Wilson says, oh, Natalie says, my heart is racing when you said that. When I said which part, Natalie? When I said I made excuses? So Leonard Wilson says, I was speaking on your sister making excuses for your grandmother while she did it to you. And if she believes that it even happened. She says nothing. You got my little sister's probably like an NPC, like one of those human shells that they describe. They call them NPCs. You can look up the term. It's like a non-player or something. It's yeah, so Natalie, so what my grandmother did, which would debunk the fact she doesn't remember, is she did it just like a predator would. So, like, say if it was a predator that wanted to rape me at 9, the predator would say, go in that room over there, go in the backyard, let me meet you. So she told me to lay down on this rollaway bed that was in front of this closet in my grandmother's room. So first, she put me in the position before she did the attack. And of course, at 9, when your parents say, lay down, my grandmother didn't say it was bedtime. Okay, like when I was living with my mother would say, okay, it's bedtime. That's different than just saying lay down, but sometimes people will word lay down as bedtime. Okay, now, I mentioned my gift. I've always had a gift of prediction and prophecy. So my intuition began very early when I was at my mother's house. So when my grandmother told me to lay down, I did feel uncomfortable. Something in my gut told me something's not right. But I'm 9. That's an obedient error. I'm 9. I'm not. Yeah, if someone was to do that now, I wouldn't lay down. If my gut feels funny, I would say don't lay down. But as a child at 9, I felt like I should listen to my grandmother. So I did what she asked me to do. So she told me to lay down. Then my grandmother sat on the edge. So she sat like in the middle of my body part, like above, like right around my waist. So my grandmother didn't sit where my head was at. She sat in the middle of my body. And my grandmother's short and I'm short. But I lay down and I'm not laying there too long. Then my grandmother blanks out. I see this blank out. She grabs a pillow. She grabs I don't remember if she already had the pillow in her hand. I don't remember her asking me for my pillow. So wherever this pillow came from, she grabbed it from the bed source. Okay. I don't remember her already having the pillow in her hand when she told me to lay down. She didn't already have a pillow. She reached for a pillow. I'm not sure if when I laid down, because I felt weird, I didn't lay on a pillow. I don't remember if it was two pillows on that rollaway bed. I just know she reached for a pillow. And she didn't tend, from what I remember, I don't remember her reaching for the pillow above my head. Her body did not come at my head level until I was being smothered. So she blanks out because I got more and more uneasy. As I'm laying there, I felt more uncomfortable, like as if something bad's going to happen. So she picks up the pillow and she begins smothering me. And I attempt to free myself and I was unsuccessful. And I began scratching on the wall because I'm being smothered out. And that's when the wall was wood and I got splinters up under my fingers. That's my first time that I could remember getting splinters up under my fingers. And so, and they bled out. I was bleeding. So what stopped the smothering was James. You could hear James' feet. So she heard James coming. And once the pillow came off of my head, I could hear James coming as well. Who knows if James wouldn't have came, would she have stopped smothering me? I mean, I never asked myself that question until today. What would have happened if he did not come down the hallway from the other room? So that's what stopped her. So that's another point that proves she's not blanked out. Totally. She's not. If a person's in a psychotic episode, they ignore people coming. He would have walked in on her smothering me. So she remembered what she did. She never apologized for it. And my sister supports it. And the way people show you they support it is when they say nothing. Natalie doesn't support it. That's why she said it's deplorable. But when people support it, they're totally quiet. They say nothing. And listen, when they say nothing, they're saying something behind your back. And this is the type of shit they'll say. They'll say, yeah, I just talked to that bitch. She lied on Nettie again. That little bitch knows she did something to Nettie. They're saying something. They're just not saying it in front of your face. Okay. No, I don't. So Leonard Wilson says, do you think the trauma you went through at a young age led to bad relationships in the future? No, absolutely. This is why I may attract predators because that's who I was raised by, right? But never blame someone's actions that you allowed on the past. Because I made a choice to date these people right? So for me, it led to me getting out of bad relationships. For me, at least I knew what a predator was. What my grandmother did is a blessing and a curse. Okay? It's a blessing and a curse. That's why it's a lot of times. I'll give you an example of why it's a blessing and a curse. I know their energy. So it's like being able to experience a lion. So if I was able to, at 9 years old, play with a lion or a lioness, and I get bit, I know what it is. So when I grow up, that's why I'm decent at this channel. I'm decent because of my predator. I know what she is. See, I don't fucking like predators. Okay? And I'm understanding now that I had to escape at 17 because I probably would have fucked around and beat the shit out that lady. And see, that's not the type of person I am. I don't want that on my memoir that I beat up my elderly grandmother, right? My little sister has that on hers, though. My little sister picked the lady up and attempted to throw her out of a window, my grandmother. And let me tell you what happened with this. I was on the phone with my grandmother, and my grandmother kept calling my little sister the B word. I was on the phone with my grandmother. My little sister was 16, and my grandmother kept calling her the B word. I told my grandmother, I said, stop calling Tina bitches and the B word. Within about 1 week to 2 weeks, I called back to check in. And there was an incident where my little sister had picked my grandmother up and attempted to throw her out of a window. It was like I was constantly watching karma. So you got to look at it. This person does this to you when you're 9. Then she assaults me again in her restaurant. The assault that she did when I was 9 years old was the worst. Then she assaults me again in her restaurant while people are there. This lady slams me on the ground and is straddling me. Okay. And this is probably why I kick people ass the way I do. Like, this is why when predators do shit to me now, I will beat their motherfucking ass. I don't allow people to straddle me, jump out on me. I will beat their motherfucking ass. Because for one, you're not my grandmother. 2, I don't store shit with you. But usually what I'll do, since I'm such a good role model on this channel, I'm in a no contact. That's my go-to. I'm not a narcissistic sociopath. I don't want to unalive. So I just stay away. Okay, so when it comes to my little sister, I didn't call her for her birthday. She has too much of a spirit that's constantly approving of this demonic lady, which is our grandmother. And you don't have to do. I love my grandmother some. I do. But what I don't do is waste my time crying over her. Okay? My grandmother is predatory, and it is not good to be crying because she's dead. I should be at peace because she's dead, because she can no longer smother me and straddle me in her restaurant and assault me, put me to the ground on her hard floor. She can't point her pistol at me for no reason. I I'm at a great amount of peace because both are deceased. My mother was a narcissistic sociopath, and so was my grandmother. And this is a term I've been recently calling them. And I'll explain why. Again, I'll go over why. H.G. Tudor calls them, he has the term. Okay, this is what H.G. Tudor says. You're either a normal, you're a narcissist, you're narcissistic, or you an empath, or you're a psychopath, or a narcissistic psychopath. So these are the 6 categories that H.G. Tudor gives. Normals, normal personalities, they're low on empathy, low on narcissism. A narcissist has no emotional empathy, but can utilize cognitive empathy if they're intelligent enough. I'm just adding that part. A narcissistic person, they're not a narcissist fully. They can't be diagnosed as a narcissist, but they do have a small level of emotional empathy, very small. A empath has a lot of emotional empathy, but they do have some narcissistic traits that can come out when they're fighting against narcissists. A psychopath is born. A sociopath is created. A psychopath has pretty much no conscious, no emotional empathy. However, they can function in society. But a narcissistic psychopath has to have supply. They need the people. A regular psychopath can be a complete loner. But a narcissistic psychopath needs supply. So their supply would be the people they financially depend on or give to, the people that they're assaulting. So my grandmother, for example, that nurse that she's assaulted, and me, when she smothered me with a pillow at 9, we're supply to her. Okay, that's supply. People that narcissistic sociopaths beat up on, talk bad to, the people that help them, the people that uplift their facade, that's their supply. So you got to look at my little sister. She's still a supply source for my grandmother because she keeps alive my grandmother's demonic energy. She keeps it alive. She keeps the spirit of the devil alive. Even when I tell my little sister what happened to me and she says nothing, there's no emotion. She's just a mute. Like my little sister is like an NPC. She's a mute. But remember, they are talking behind your back. I didn't call her for her birthday. My little sister, I no longer want the responsibility of having to help. I will not be my sister's caregiver. So unfortunately, my little sister needs to stay good like she doing. Like she said that she felt like attacking the doctors and stuff because they just gave her lidocaine. But my little sister didn't make sure that her insurance was current. My little sister is busy talking to one of her female potential narcissistic sociopathic friends on the phone. And my little sister has a good job. She works. She's too busy and neglected to check to see if her medical was valid. I was on a live a couple weeks ago, over the past 2 weeks, and I mentioned that I was doing my insurance stuff. This was before I talked to my little sister. Call and make sure your medical and dental and vision insurance are valid. They do make mistakes. I don't care whether you get Medicaid, Medicare, you get your insurance through your employer. Randomly check and make sure that your insurance is still current. Mistakes are made all the time. They made a mistake. My sister thought her medical and dental and vision insurance was good. Isaiah, you okay? Okay. You need any help? She thought her insurance was good and it wasn't. And It was actually canceled about the end of January. So in the meantime, my little sister gets sick again and she needs this procedure. She had an abscess, y'all. I'm not going to mention the location of the abscess, but it was in her body. It was in her upper body. Okay. So I'm glad that it's removed. Um, Me not calling my sister for her birthday does not mean I don't care about her. You got to remember this. Even though they're like narcissistic sociopaths, including my sister, I have the ability to care. They're the ones that's lacking it. But I have to learn to control how I care. That's the thing. So I didn't call her for her birthday yesterday. And as a result, I had a lot of good luck. Isaiah and I ran into this lady. If this power is off, I'll be right back. If this power is off, I'll be right back. So hold on one second. Um, Thank you, Natalie, for all the white hearts and the bird and the heart and stuff like that. So if it powers off, I'm gonna come right back with a new live. Um, Hold on, because the device is overheating. Because of course this is almost a 3 hour live, right? Um, let's see here. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to get this live under control because the device it's like keep powering off. Um, uh, um, Thank you so much for the likes, y'all. So okay. Oh, Leonard says, did you get my email? Where did you send an email to, Leonard? Oh, in a message. Okay. Oh, in a message. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, hmm. See, I don't want to take the chance of losing this live. It was in a text. So hold on one second. PM and I hear the ambulance and the fire department. Hopefully live. So give me 10 minutes I'm going to start a new live. So give me 10 minutes and I'm going to start a new live.